was a dream. And in that dream, there was a shared DC cinematic universe. One that could compete with Marvel. It was a beautiful lie.
That was a bit dramatic.
Well, I mean, it's like a funeral, ain't it?
Yeah, I guess so. So, welcome to the Out of Touch podcast. I'm Chris, that's Bill, and today we are kind of trying to attempt to do a post-mortem on the DCEU, which actually was never really called that, but became that because of some reporter.
Yeah, and now there's like a box set of most, but not all these movies coming out that actually says that on there, and I think it's on, it's just Max these days.
Yes.
It's a stupid name, but you know what? The fact that they got saddled with a name by sheer chance and happenstance, it just kind of fits this whole franchise, or lack thereof, in a nutshell.
Yeah, it's almost like built on panicking from, I guess, like Marvel in some ways.
It didn't even start on day one. It started on day negative 346. Because, like, as soon as they caught wind of, like, oh, Marvel might be doing, like, an Avengers movie, they were like, well, we could do that. Let's do it now. I mean, we had that whole thing with Justice League Mortal from George Miller. Everyone got really mad about that back in the day. It's like, they're rushing. They're doing it wrong. And then they were like, okay, we're not going to do that. We didn't get the tax breaks we wanted. We upset Chris Nolan. So we won't do it.
It's weird because I never think of Justice League Mortal being around like when the Avengers came out, because I always think of like
it was before it.
Yeah, it was way before Avengers, but like I think of this iteration of like DCEU being like, they made Man of Steel. It was supposed to be like, hey, we're doing like a new Superman franchise. Then the Avengers came out, made $1 billion, and it's like, yeah, we're doing that too.
The timeline's a little more complicated than that, because they were just like, we could do Justice League before they could do it, because we'll just start at Justice League. But then that fell apart. And they let Christopher Nolan continue and finish his Batman series. They tried like, oh, maybe this Green Lantern, that'll start our new cinematic universe. Oh no, it was bad. So let's throw that under the rug.
Yeah, it's so weird to think about that, before, what we're actually talking about. It's like Marvel coexisted with, the Nolan Batman movies.
Yeah.
For like a brief time, and then...
Because Dark Knight came out the same summer as Iron Man. Dark Knight Rises came out the same summer as the Avengers.
Yeah.
And everyone pretty much assumed, I guess initially, like, Christopher Nolan was godfathering what became Man of Steel. And I thought at the time, oh, cool, we're going to get like a trilogy of Superman movies like we did with Batman. That's great. Why did you say that name?
No. I will say, like, Man of Steel, probably most underrated comic book movie. It's very divisive for a lot of people for some reason, but...
I think the pendulum has swung a bit more positive as time has gone by.
Yeah.
Not when it came out, though. Oh, my God. Dead straight down the middle. People were either like, yeah, or boo!
Yeah. It definitely was, like, a weird choice to be like, well, that's going to be the start of the universe, which, in some ways, it's like, yeah, it's a great movie, but in other ways, it's just like, this doesn't really seem like a start of a universe type of movie, but...
The only thing it teed off was a more proper Superman movie.
Yeah. I don't know, like, I guess how to go about this, because, the DCEU, or Extended Universe as...
I refuse to even call it that. I call it that derisively.
Yeah.
I'll say the so-called DCEU, but
it's officially over.
Pretty much, yeah.
10 years.
Somehow.
10 years of this film franchise that had very different management while being made.
A constant slew of management changes. The problem was they wanted to copy Marvel, but they didn't want to do it the way Marvel did, but they also had no way to do it the way Marvel did. Marvel was their own film studio who solely existed to make Marvel movies. And they had leadership whose sole focus was this universe, whether it was Kevin Feige, the original creative committee that he had to deal with. But there was nothing. It was just just a bunch of random filmmakers. For a little while, like, Zack Snyder was kind of the head by default.
Yeah.
Like, they tried to get Christopher Nolan to do it, and he was like, no, I don't want to. This isn't for me. Also, don't worry about, just make good movies. Don't try to copy Marvel. Do you think he was right?
I think he was right. It's so weird because, like, in some ways it feels like they were trying to, like, catch up to Marvel. Because, like, they were like, okay, like, we got to fast track, like, Justice League. But at the same time, they're like, well, we have to have, like, the lead up to Justice League. So, you know, there was Superman first, or Man of Steel, which was great. Although a lot of people didn't think it was, but I still think it was really good. Then there was Batman v Superman, and it kind of was like, I want to say it had, like, one of the biggest lead ups to a movie, like, ever. You know, it was like everybody was super excited about it. Everybody was talking about it. Ben Affleck as Batman. People are like, oh my God, what the hell?
I saw the announcement. I look on this thing. I look down the first comment.
Yeah.
It's like, Ben Affleck's going to be Batman. The first one just goes, no!
Like, how could they? This is a stupid choice, even though he's made, like, quality movies for, like, a decade.
But all they remembered was Daredevil and Geely and things like that.
Yeah.
It's like, that's the guy in Kevin Smith movies. Why could he be Batman?
Yeah, he's the evil angel in Dogma.
He was in Pearl Harbor and Armageddon. Boo!
He was in Armageddon. Man, that was a great movie. But
No,
anyway,
it wasn't.
Yes, it was.
No, it wasn't. The movie's terrible. What are you talking
It's an
about?
amazing movie.
It's horrible.
It's one of Michael Bay's best.
Michael Bay has no best except The Rock.
But anywho, I guess that was the first, like, major controversy.
I mean, I guess
Besides for Superman killing Zod.
that was the...
Yeah.
I feel like the next snap, more so than even the weird death of Jonathan Kent, because I think some people could have easily gotten past that, but it was, a lot of people could not get past him killing Zod.
Yeah.
That was like the next snap heard around the world. That was like the linchpin of, like, Superman shouldn't have done that. Boo! I forgot that he also murdered Zod in the 80s. Boo!
Yeah, I guess he did, huh?
I mean, this was more brutal, but still.
You know, every time I think of Zack Snyder's movies, and to be fair, I've liked most of Zack Snyder's movies. I have not seen his, like, later ones, like Army of the Dead or Rebel Moon, but, you know, I've mostly liked his movies, but he does have, like, an edgelord mentality to a lot of his stuff.
It feels that way sometimes.
Which, you know, is great when you're an angsty teenager, but then, like, you kind of laugh at it when you're, like, older and you're like, what is happening here?
And he's definitely not the attitude you want for a filmmaker that's making a Superman movie.
Yeah.
Because it's Superman.
Yeah, I don't know, though. Like, you know, Superman killing Zod, it's just like, you know, this is, you know, a pretty fresh Superman, like, first outing out. It could have been, like, his learning of, like, I need to be better because I did this.
They wanted it to frame it that way, but they didn't really execute it well.
No, because then they immediately killed him in the next movie.
Well, that too. That's a different problem.
Yeah.
Like, he killed Zod, and then he was just kind of fine the next scene. If we saw him sort of lamenting, I'm like, I never wanted to do something like that in my life, and I never will again. I swear it.
Yeah.
I swear it on my father's grave, or just something. The problem, I like Man of Steel a lot. The action was great. It was a nice breath of fresh air after just a very boring Superman Returns. Just so boring.
Yeah.
But the problem was, that movie underwrites Clark as a character, like, a lot. They got some good motivation. I like that he always wants to help people. That's good. But there's never, because I can't help but compare Man of Steel to Batman Begins, because they're very similar in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
You know, got some of the same people involved, so that's natural.
Same
But there's-
writers.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And there's that great moment in Batman Begins where Bruce basically tells Alfred what he's planning on doing. He's like, look,
As a man, I'm flesh and blood. I can be ignored, I can be destroyed, but as a symbol, I can be incorruptible. I can be everlasting.
there's never like a moment where Clark is like, I can save the world. He's told he can save the world. He's never like, I want to. He's being told what to do. I want to see, if I'm going to see Superman's origin, I want to see the Superman be like, come to that conclusion himself, make that decision, and have like a conversation with Lois or somebody about it. Because he's just kind of reacting most of the time, and it never quite clicked for me in that movie.
Yeah, that's a good point. They hinged their whole universe on that beginning movie where it's just like in some ways, like off the bat, it's like they didn't quite get Superman right.
They needed to do one more Superman movie
Yeah.
before their Batman Superman movie. I think if like, okay, you know what, we kind of fumbled it a little bit, but I think we could do better in the next time. You know, you do Man of Steel 2, whatever you call it, Man of Tomorrow, whatever. Superman, call it just Superman, I don't care, whatever. And then maybe you do, I don't know, a Batman movie with Ben Affleck over here. And then you do your Wonder Woman movie over there. And then maybe they all meet. Oh, wait, that's what Marvel did, and they didn't want to do that. I understand. It only worked really, really well for them.
Yeah.
It's doing not too bad for the MonsterVerse, because they kind of also just did that. They just copied the Marvel blueprint.
Pretty much. They're like, we got a Godzilla movie, then we got a King Kong movie.
Another Godzilla movie, and then they ran into each other and they fought.
And they punched for a bit.
And now they're the Monster Avengers.
Yeah.
They're running at some bad guy monsters together.
Yeah, they're gonna get Gamera in the next one somehow.
I mean, you know what? I bet Legendary, if they could, they would.
Yeah, probably. But I guess it like leads into like, you know, Batman v Superman.
I still remember when they announced it. It was like right after Man of Steel. They were like, hey guys, guess what? We're going to do a sequel. Guess who's in it? Batman. It's like, wait, what? It just immediately. We just finished Christian Bale Batman a year earlier, and now all of a sudden, wait, there's going to be another one? I was so excited, though.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to see Batman and Superman in a movie together. I always felt that Batman and Superman in live action, meeting for the first time, needed to be a movie in of itself. That, like, I was glad that Smallville or no other TV show got to do it. It needed to be on the big screen. It needed to be its own movie. It shouldn't just be in the background of a Justice League Mortal movie. It needed to be its own thing. Was I wrong?
I mean, that could have just been the movie, but the movie had to advertise a bunch of other movies in the middle of it.
Yeah, it did.
I guess like the things.
Fucking email attachment.
Yeah, I mean like the lead up to Batman v Superman was like really cool because it was like, okay, like people were starting to get on board with Ben Affleck as Batman. They showed off like the suit. And it was like, oh, cool. They're doing like the Frank Miller suit. That's kind of cool. He's got like the big bulky bat.
Very Dark Knight Returns.
Yeah. It's like, oh, cool. Live action Batman that's actually wearing like, you know, kind of like the gray and black Batman suit.
It was cool to see.
Yeah. But then like the movie actually came out and then it was like, it peaks and valleys for me. Like the beginning of the movie is great with the view of like civilians and Bruce Wayne seeing like Superman fight Zod, because in this continuity, you know, Metropolis and Gotham are like, I guess like really close to each other. They're like Newark and New York or whatever.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think that was exactly what they were going for.
Yeah.
100%.
So it's cool. But then there's a lot of other stuff. Like it's like the casting of like Jesse Eisenberg as Lex Luthor, and you're like, what? And then like
the entire performance.
Yeah, no. Which I
boys, Bruce Wayne meets Clark Kent. I love it.
Really didn't work for me. It's like
still doesn't work for me.
It's like I grew up with cartoon Lex Luthor, Clancy Brown, the awesome Lex Luthor, you know, the one from Justice League Unlimited that has the big plan at the end. That's not what we got. No. We got like weird, like, I don't even know how to like describe him except like eccentric tech billionaire Lex Luthor.
That's what they were going for.
Yeah.
Right? It just didn't work for me. I don't think it worked for many people at all.
You know, all the unevenness of like Granny's peach tea and Martha.
Why did you say that name?
And Do You Bleed, which immediately became a joke.
I mean, this one thing that still bothers me about this movie, and as I mentioned, I was excited about the prospect of seeing Batman and Superman together on screen for the first time. They're barely on screen together.
No.
They meet for like a minute as Bruce and Clark. They meet for like, I don't know, 30 seconds to a minute with the Do You Bleed scene.
Yeah.
They never have a conversation. The only other time we see them interact is when they fight.
Yeah.
And it's not even a good fight.
It's not. I mean...
Your movie's called Batman versus Superman, and the best action scene isn't that. That to me is a sign that, like, oh, you done fucked up.
Yeah.
That should be the best part of the movie. It's the entire marketing is these two fighting. And it's not a good fight.
No.
It has a couple of good moments in it, but it's not a good fight.
Yeah. You know, we get Batman in, like, the armor, which is, like, cool, but, like, it's kind of, like, oh, like, all right, whatever.
More Dark Knight Returns.
Yeah.
You know, it's funny. Zack Snyder has said that the only other DC movie he'd have any interest in ever making would be a direct adaptation of The Dark Knight Returns. And I'm just like, you know, between what you did and The Dark Knight Rises, there's really nothing else to mine. You kind of put most of it on the screen already.
Yeah, I guess, like, you know, you're going to do, like, the mutants and Billy Berserk or whatever and all that stuff.
I mean, think about it. We've had an armored Batman fighting Superman. We've had the 8 years retired Batman coming out, and they even had the little line in Dark Knight Rises where it's like, "Oh, you're in for a show tonight, kid." We had the suit. We had the sniper rifle that wasn't really a sniper rifle. We even had in the Joker movie, Joker killing a talk show host.
Yeah.
And you know, we had super old Batman in the Flash with Michael Keaton. Like, there's nothing. There's nothing left.
They ruined it. Like, old Batman was cool, but now he's not. Cause,
He's played out.
yeah, it's like he's lame and stupid, and nobody wants to see old Batman now.
I mean, maybe one day, but that's not an anytime soon kind of thing.
Yeah. And then, you know, really comes down to, like, Batman v Superman, you have all the, just wait till you see our other movies.
The movie grinds to a halt so Wonder Woman could check an email attachment, and then we see all the Justice League. We see the Flash. We see Aquaman. We see Cyborg.
Yeah. You know, that moment of first seeing Ezra Miller as the Flash and he had a fucking man bun, I immediately was just like, I hate this guy.
It wasn't even the first time we saw him. We saw him after Bruce's abrupt, weird nightmare scene, which also took me out of the movie.
That's true. And it's just like, what the fuck was that? It's just like,
sequel bait.
yeah, it's just like, evil Superman, huh, guys?
Don't you want to see that movie? That's like 3 movies away if we actually get to it, which they didn't.
No. So,
Make one movie at a time.
So I guess, you know, kind of, oh yeah, and I guess the biggest thing is, I guess, like, horrible doomsday that looks like a Lord of the Rings, like, orc that kills Superman.
2 movies and Superman dies.
Yep.
What a weird decision to make.
Also, the movie has a sequel hook where Superman's still alive and you see little pebbles floating up, but then when we go to Justice League, no, he's, like, dead.
Yeah, what was that?
Yeah, what the hell? It's just like, that's the one thing I hate about the Justice League movie. It's just like, no, Superman died. He's not like, he wasn't just like knocked out. He is fucking dead. And like, he went to the afterlife and he described being dead being itchy.
Well, that's on Whedon. But both versions have him. He's dead. He died it.
Yeah.
I don't get it.
Yeah.
What was the point of that? I remember seeing an explanation from Zack Snyder and it just didn't make any sense to me.
A little dirt. To me, it was just, it's always been symbolic of, like, you know, hope and of, like, lessons learned and that there's more.
Yeah, it's like, kind of like, you hint that he's actually not dead, but then it's like, he is dead.
Like, I thought you were doing the thing like in the comics where he was not dead, he was only mostly dead.
Yeah.
Like that fun line in Princess Bride. He's not dead, he's only mostly
Yeah,
dead.
he's mostly dead. Is he alive? He's a little bit alive. But I guess, you know, to kind of like mention some of the other movies, like,
They announced their original slate in 2014. In 2016, Batman vs. Superman: Dawn of Justice and Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
Then in 2017, we were supposed to get Wonder Woman and Justice League Part 1. Then in 2018, The Flash and Aquaman. 2019, Shazam and Justice League Part 2. 2020, Cyborg and Green Lantern Corps. And I gotta tell you, before anything went wrong, before Batman vs. Superman came out, and I saw that slate, the first thing on my mind was, they're never making a Cyborg movie.
yeah. And I guess, like, these were made, like, at the time where, like, New 52 was still kind of hot. Cyborg was part of the Justice League, so they're like, yeah, Cyborg in the Justice League.
It's weird. We've had all these live-action versions of Cyborg unaffiliated with the team he's most known for.
Yeah. It's just like, yeah, Cyborg's cool. Like, I like him in Teen Titans. Him being, like, a founding member of the Justice League seems kind of weird, though.
Feels wrong to me.
Yeah.
Like, that's not your spot. It's
Yeah.
Martian Manhunter's spot. And Green Lantern's spot. Not your spot. You're a founding Teen Titan.
Yeah.
Well, maybe not a founding. You're a Teen Titan!
You're a Teen Titan. who eventually becomes part of the Justice League.
Yeah, that's fine. I don't mind him graduating.
Yeah.
But come on, he shouldn't be a founder.
Yeah, it's
Like I understand why they were trying to do that. They're trying to like make the league more diverse, but I'm like there's other characters that aren't two cartoons, Teen Titans and Teen Titans Go, have cemented in the general audience's brain that Cyborg is a Teen Titan. And he yells booyah.
Yeah, I don't even know what they were trying to do with this version of Cyborg too, because like
They did like the weird mother box thing.
yeah, I mean, making Cyborg connected to Apocalypse, I guess, is kind of interesting, but I was just going for like, you know, what role does he fill? Because it's like, you know, when you're going against like the two different versions of the Justice League, it's like, you know, it's like everybody's serious, including like Cyborg. But then like in the Whedon cut, it's like, I guess like Cyborg and the Flash like joke around with each other while they're like grave robbing.
Barely.
Yeah.
Freaking theatrical cut of Justice League, that's a travesty in of itself to a degree.
We'll get to it.
I don't know. I laughed at the idea of a Cyborg solo movie because there's nothing there.
Yeah.
He has no rogues gallery. He barely has a supporting cast. He has his father, who the Snyder Cut killed. So if a version of that movie came out initially, where do you go with Cyborg from there? His only supporting character's dead.
You just introduce like the Teen Titans, and then he's like, "I made my own team."
You know what? It'd be better than just what's he gonna do? Fight Grid? There's nothing. He's got nothing. There's nothing.
He's like, "I made my own team. Who wants waffles?" 'Cause that's all people know him for now.
Fucking Teen Titans Go. Yeah, I don't know. I thought that idea was I just knew because this was not long after I think the Inhumans disappeared off of Marvel's slate. So I was just like, that's never happening. Granted, it didn't happen for the reasons I thought. I figured that's not going to happen because it's Cyborg. Out of all the projects that didn't happen, that got the least amount of anything done. Because it got like a tentative year. I don't think it ever had a writer attached to it.
Yeah.
There was at least attempts with Green Lantern Corps, but that's about it.
They keep trying to make Green Lantern happen in this universe, and I guess he only technically shows up like once, and you can argue it's technically not even canon.
The only official Green Lanterns we got in this continuity were the ancient Green Lantern who gets killed by either Steppenwolf or Darkseid,
Yeah,
and then we see Kilowog's corpse in the Snyder Cut.
that's right.
And I know Zack Snyder shot a guy in his driveway to play Green Lantern, even though Warner Brothers said, no, don't do that.
He did it anyway, because he's a rebel.
Yeah. But of course, they wouldn't let him put it in it.
Yeah.
I mean, what would it have mattered, honestly? They weren't making a follow-up.
I
mean, granted, I guess at that point they thought that, well, no, this continuity is still going. Spoiler alert from the couple years in the future. It's over.
You know, the more we talk about this, the more I remember, like, more and more bad decisions, like, to kind of just, like, glance over, like, you know, the original Suicide Squad movie where, like, it's like, hey, we're doing Joker and Harley Quinn. Take a look at Joker. And it's just like, what the fuck?
Why does he have a damage tattoo on his forehead?
Yeah, it was always, like, too much or too weird in one way.
Yeah. You know what's funny? When that was first released and everyone thought it looked terrible, I actually thought, I'm like, okay, nobody likes this. It's awful. They're very reactionary right now. Maybe they'll digitally erase it from the movie. Nope.
I mean, there's apparently another version of that Suicide Squad movie
Yes.
with more Joker in it.
Yes. Well, there's the extended cut on Blu-ray, which has at least one more Joker scene, but apparently there's a bit more. We know some of it, him showing up at the end battle to be all like, I work with Enchantress or some shit. I don't know. I've never really read into it. I think the script is out there. David Ayer has recently thrown in the towel about it ever coming out because I guess, like, even though I guess James Gunn's in favor of it, but he can't make it happen because it's doesn't fall under his umbrella technically.
Yeah.
Even though he's the head of DC Studios, it's not a DC studio production.
Exactly. It was made in the before times.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just like a lot of weird decisions. You know, especially with this like beginning era of the DC.
Well, I mean, they were running a boat without a captain. Zack Snyder was like trying to dictate, but also trying to do his own thing, and it got cluttered and weird and bad. And they started micromanaging, and he had personal tragedies, and just eventually said, "Fuck this shit, I'm out." And then they just like, well, he's gone, so let's just keep fixing this movie. Let's see, we need to make it. Everyone wants it. Nobody liked The Darkness. Make it light, make it funny. Do it quickly. Do it now. Make it like Marvel, Joss Whedon. We got to do reshoots. Henry Cavill, get back here. What's that on your face? Can we shave it? No? It's fine. We'll delete it in post. How much time do you need? A lot more? Well, too bad. You got till November. I don't care if it's September.
Man.
I got to get a bonus.
Mustache gate.
The mustache, man.
Why would anybody think that was a good idea?
I don't think anyone thought it was a good idea. They just didn't have a choice.
Yeah.
Henry Cavill must have felt like an idiot.
I mean, in some ways it was kind of like hilarious of Paramount being like, they're like, can he shave his mustache? Absolutely not.
You know what? I've heard that. I don't know if this is true that some production on Mission Impossible did get delayed because Tom Cruise got hurt, so he could have shaved it.
Yeah.
But they still wouldn't let him.
Yeah.
I mean, good power play on their part.
It's just like, you keep that mustache on.
It's like, can you shave that mustache? We'll pay for a fake one. Absolutely not. Fuck you.
I mean, in many ways, that kind of killed Superman being in these movies for years after that.
It did. Because the Justice League theatrical cut, it killed both the Ben Affleck Batman and the Henry Cavill Superman, but for different reasons.
Yeah.
Henry Cavill still wanted to be Superman, but they were like, we can't show this version of Superman because people are just going to keep drawing mustaches on his face. And Ben Affleck just didn't want to be Batman anymore for a variety of reasons.
And let's talk about the Justice League movie because, like, there was one glaring story thing in this the whole time. It's just like, I'm not like a super comic book, like full of knowledge, but like I know enough. And when they announced we're making a Justice League movie and the villain Steppenwolf, I was like, who the fuck is Steppenwolf? Like, even like I know it a lot, but I was like, who the hell is this guy? Why isn't he Calabac?
And he was in Superman the Animated Series, but he was unremarkable.
Yeah.
He dies off screen in Justice League. That's how worthless Steppenwolf is.
And plus, his name is like really weird and stupid and hard to say. Steppenwolf. That's gonna be like every kid being like, I'm Steppenwolf. Look at my action figure. Just like why? You think these movie executives with all their stupid ideas would be like, his name sucks. Do somebody else. But they're like, no, Steppenwolf. Yeah, that's awesome. He's gonna be cool. Who is he? How's he related to the actual bad guy? Well, he's his uncle. What? He's his uncle? So he's mad at his uncle?
He's uncle to that big gray guy?
Yeah, why don't you just do that guy? It's like, no, we gotta lead up to him. He's like the popular lead into, Darkseid.
No, he's not!
Even though Darkseid has a son that constantly is trying to get his father's approval and never will.
And what's crazy is that, like, in the theatrical cut, Steppenwolf is kind of generic, very generic bad guy. But in the Snyder cut, he's much more like Calabac. Because he's very, like, he may as well be like, Daddy, please, can I come home? He may as well say that.
Yeah.
I think, they never say it in the movie, but I think their relation's been reversed from uncle, like, he's the nephew now instead.
Okay.
But I don't think they don't say it, so who cares?
It's just stupid. It's just like, you have a son? Use the son.
He's a much cooler character.
Yeah.
I don't know.
He's
man.
more interesting.
Way more
interesting.
You basically stole some of his attributes for the Snyder Cut anyway. It may as well have been Calabac.
Also, like, who knows how Steppenwolf, like, originally was going to look in, like, Zack Snyder's, like, version of the movie, but it, like, the Snyder Cut version definitely looks, like, way better.
If you look in the Ultimate, it's in the Ultimate Edition. They released it online at the time, but we see Lex Luthor having some kind of communication with Steppenwolf, and it's the design that's in the Snyder Cut.
Okay, so that was his, like, original design, and then the Whedon version made it, like, 1,000 times worse.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you could say it's slightly more comic accurate in that he's more humanoid, and it's a helmet, and not, like, he has weird horn head.
Yeah.
But, I mean, bad CGI, so.
Yeah.
I'd rather have good CGI versus bad CGI any day of the week. But
I guess
I guess they went with the, well, it's that weird Krypton finger point art or whatever you would say, whatever the hell that shit's called. Like,
oh yeah.
so you say, oh, it was vague enough that maybe he looks like this instead. But no, it's so clearly the design from the Snyder
everybody
Cut.
in Krypton, they talk to each other by sticking their head into those like metal spikes.
Yeah,
That
it kind of like it looks like that, but it's very clearly the design that's in the Snyder Cut. It's not the theatrical cut.
Also, like, the whole like plot line of like Lex Luthor communicating with this guy somehow is just like very vague, and it's just like he touched the mother box and went crazy and then cut his hair off because reasons.
I don't know if he was communicating with him or he saw like an archive. I don't know what was happening there.
Yeah, there's a lot of like weird stuff in the DCEU, and I guess like Justice League was supposed to be their big like, yeah, this is our Avengers, take that, Marvel.
I think by the time it came out though, they were like in full blown like, oh God, what have we done? Oh God, what have we done?
And that ignited, the release the Snyder Cut movement that actually worked
Somehow.
after years of complaining about it.
Complaining, harassment, online trolling, I don't know. I mean, everybody knows about it more or less.
Yeah.
The 4-hour version of what would have been the Justice League movie from back in 2017, but...
And it is better. It's better in every way, except for like the very end.
There's two things I don't like about the Snyder Cut. One is I think that using the black costume is stupid because there's no point. He's just wearing a black costume because.
Yeah.
And everything after Superman rips open his shirt is awful.
Yes.
You have the pointless Deathstroke scene, which is setting up the non-existent Ben Affleck Batman movie. And then you have the awful Nightmare scene, which looks bad, is shot horribly, like horribly. The rest of the movie looks great. The CGI looks great. The cinematography looks great. Zack Snyder, you seem like a nice guy. You're a competent director. Stop doing your own cinematography. You're not good at it. There's people, you know people. I know you know people. I've seen your other movies. They look good.
Everything's like weird and blurry and out of focus. And
what is happening?
Yeah.
Like, you're doing a terrible job of hiding the fact that Ben Affleck and Jared Leto giving his somehow worst Joker performance. I know they're not together.
Yeah.
It's painfully obvious.
And it's really dumb that like it's just like Batman says, "I'll fucking kill you," and it's just like, really?
He was bragging about it. I was like, I made Batman say fuck.
Yeah, it's
like,
just
oh God.
It's like Batman doesn't do that. At least I don't want Batman to do that. That just seems weird.
It's out of character.
Yeah.
Batman saying anything beyond like a damn feels weird.
Yeah, Batman seems like too smart to like swear.
Ben Affleck Batman does curse a lot.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, son of a bitch.
He's a weird Batman.
Sometimes, yeah.
He's got that really cool warehouse fight, and that's about it, though.
Black and gray suit.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I don't like the Nightmare stuff, but Mad Max Batman does look cool.
He does look cool. Not denying that. There's a lot of cool imagery in these movies.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
And sometimes the opposite happens.
Yes. Infamous scenes, though. For every cool scene, we get Martha.
Why did you say that name?
Why did he say that name? Superman would never call his mom by her first name.
Yeah.
He wasn't raised that way.
It's really weird. But, it's kind of weird because, like, for a while, the Zack Snyder stuff went away. And, even though we did get the Snyder Cut, like, way later, it's like, it seems like it was on the right track. It was like Wonder Woman came out and it was really good.
Yeah. Aquaman came out, made $1 billion somehow.
Yeah. And it was almost like, oh, like, maybe DC's rebounding. Like,
maybe we just go our separate ways. Aquaman had a single line of dialogue that referenced Justice League, which honestly I was shocked was even there.
Yeah.
When Mira was just like, "You fought Steppenwolf," I'm like, I can't believe they left that in. I figured they would be like, I'm amazed there wasn't no producer be like, nah, lose that line. Why? We don't want people to think about that movie.
Yeah. It's like, that was a bad idea. But yeah, Wonder Woman and Aquaman were both really good.
Yeah. Well, Wonder Woman came out before Justice League, but it was still good.
Yeah.
Made money.
Yeah. They were solid. And then after that, it seemed like, the DC management kind of like was shifting around a lot.
Yeah, because after Batman vs. Superman, but before Suicide Squad, Jeff Johns and John Berg were put in charge of the newly created DC Films, which was not a separate studio. It was like a subdivision of Warner Brothers Pictures. And like Jeff Johns apparently still answered to the head of DC, and John Berg still had the head of Warner Brothers. And they had I don't know if this was before Suicide Squad came out, so they had to put the scissors to that. They were given the impossible task of fixing Justice League. But they also, got Wonder Woman to the finish line and set up Aquaman and Shazam. But after Justice League came out, they were gone, and in came Walter Hamada.
Right.
Who got to reap the benefits of being like, that was definitely me.
Yeah.
Aquaman was definitely me.
Aquaman was good. And then Shazam, the first one, was pretty good too. I mean...
Moderate success.
Yeah. We got like weird like headless Superman at the end, which is just like, okay, I guess Henry Cavill's definitely out.
Yeah, once I saw that headless Superman, I was like, dang it. He's gone. We knew at that point I knew Ben Affleck was gone, but at that point I was like, son of a bitch, he's gone too.
And then from there we got like the Harley Quinn movie, which
with the worst title ever.
Yeah.
Birds of Prey and the Fantabulous Emancipation of One Harley Quinn. How in the hell they micromanaged the fuck out of so many of these movies? Did nobody freaking say, we are not calling the movie this? This title is too long. It's too stupid. It makes no freaking sense.
Yeah. It's weird too because like this movie, I would say in some ways is probably the most hated DCEU movie. At least I see a lot of people talk shit about it, but
I think it's between that and the theatrical cut of Justice League.
Yeah, I really like this movie though. I think like, Black Mask is pretty fun as a bad guy. Harley Quinn is cool because I never really liked that character, but then all of a sudden it was like, oh, the Harley Quinn TV show is pretty cool. And, oh, I like this movie. This movie's really good. But I like it. A lot of people don't like it. I don't know why, but I think it's kind of fun.
I mean, that was a weird movie because I never liked any of the trailers.
Yeah.
I thought the movie was all right. Title was terrible.
It was absolutely terrible.
The marketing was... This movie looks like it was tailor-made for 15-year-old girls that shop at Hot Topic. They can't see this movie, though, because it was rated R.
Yeah, super violent.
So I don't know who they made that movie for, and clearly nobody else did because it only made like a little over $200 million. And yeah, like COVID was happening, but nothing had shut down yet.
Yeah.
Like Sonic came out like right after this and made money. So this movie was just kind of dead in the water to begin with.
I know this movie also has like a very like nitpicky like fan thing where they're just like, I forget the name of the character, but there's a character that's supposed to be a Batgirl that like is like, why is this character in this movie?
You know what?
Yeah.
Cassandra Cain.
Yeah.
That shouldn't have been Cassandra Cain.
I know. And
There could have been. I think there's characters that she could have been. So I understand why people would not like that being Cassandra Cain. Cassandra Cain's a badass.
Yeah.
She's trained from assassin. She's borderline mute. This is just some kid, some pickpocket. I don't know why someone should not have let that happen.
It's another symptom of this DCEU of like just like weird choices for like a lot of characters where it's just like, I guess that's okay.
It's weird because they went from like would sometimes micromanage to just being like, whatever, doesn't matter. You do whatever you want. We don't care.
Super inconsistent.
Yeah, very much so.
And I guess it's hard to think of like the later movies because like I don't think any of these movies are like super like horrible except for like maybe like Justice League because like I really don't like the theatrical version of Justice League. But there's a lot of like weird choices in them. I mean, Wonder Woman 84 was like a kind of uneven sequel where it's just like, what is this movie even? What's happening in this movie? It's just like, oh, this guy can grant wishes. Okay.
Magic Stone.
Yeah.
Steve Trevor's back. We need an excuse to bring Chris Pine back for at least one more movie.
Some kind of like weird, uncomfortable stuff when you think about certain things that happen in Wonder Woman 84 that you're like, wait a minute.
The fact that Steve Trevor is brought back in somebody else's body and then they have sex.
Yeah.
I mean, there was a minor kerfuffle about it, but my God, the hellfire that would have rained down if the roles were reversed.
Yeah, definitely.
It would have been like, what?
Yeah, it's like, it's just like Wonder Woman 1 was so great, and then like Wonder Woman 2 is just kind of like, I don't think it's horrible, but it's like kind of weird. Like the villains are kind of weak in my opinion.
Yeah.
You know, you got Pedro Pascal, who's like gone on to like be like pretty good things, but in this movie he's kind of like just like being like a really awkward Maxwell Lord, I think, character, right?
Yeah, it's Maxwell Lord, who's coming back in the so-called DCEU, played by James Gunn's brother.
Okay.
Yeah.
What was after Wonder Woman 84?
It was the Suicide Squad.
Right. Suicide Squad was really good.
Yeah.
Victim of the pandemic and...
Same thing with Wonder Woman. Those movies, we'll never know how well they could have done. I don't even know if Wonder Woman 84 was really in theaters. Maybe it was to a degree. But most movies were closed. You had to wear a mask. You had to be over here in the corner by yourself with 9 rows between you and somebody else. No movies really did good until Spider-Man No Way Home came out.
Yeah.
So I give anything that came out in like post-March 2020 through 2021, sort of that COVID asterisk. So it's like you get a slight pass this time. Anything after that, though, fuck you, you made shit.
Yeah.
Or nobody cared.
I will say The Suicide Squad is great.
I think it's awesome.
I've seen it many times now.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I love it. It's
got one of the few post-credit scenes that paid off because it sets up Peacemaker.
Yeah.
The only show set in this universe.
Yeah.
But not the only time someone from this universe was on television.
Huh.
Yes.
Oh, that's right.
Yes.
Yeah. Movie Flash showed up.
Fuck you, Barry.
Yeah.
But, yeah, not much to say there. Suicide Squad's great.
It is great.
It's probably the reason why James Gunn's in charge now.
Yeah. It probably is.
It's got Starro. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Who'd have thought we'd ever get Starro in something?
And King Shark.
Yeah. Well, King Shark was all over the place
And
around
Polka
that time.
Dot Man for some reason.
Why not?
Yeah.
Why not Polka Dot Man?
And Peacemaker, who nobody knew who the fuck was until that show.
He had never been in anything.
Yeah. And I guess, like, you know, Bloodsport, which is just like, listen, you can't use Deadshot because, like, just in case Will Smith wants to come back.
I guess, yeah. Because it does feel like a name replacement character.
Yeah.
A lot of similarities.
Yeah, it's just like, it could have easily been Deadshot, I guess, in some versions of it.
Yeah.
But,
I mean, whatever.
Yeah.
I don't mind it being somebody different.
yeah, I like Idris Elba as Bloodsport.
He's cool. He's funny.
Yeah.
Look, everyone's plays well.
He's got that, like, hilarious yet, like, oh my god fight with his daughter at the beginning of the movie. Like, just like, what the hell? What am I watching? You got, like, fan favorite character Weasel.
Oh my god.
It's just
Who's coming
bizarre.
back?
Yeah.
Can be in Creature Commandos.
Okay.
Yeah.
Weird. Yeah, that was a bright spot. And
Then we enter the end days, starting
Yes.
with Black Adam.
which is a movie I do like.
I don't mind it. Featured the return of Henry Cavill as Superman in the post-credits. The Rock somehow did it. But then a month later it was undone because Warner Brothers got bought and sold 2 times during this time span.
That's true. AT&T and now Discovery.
Yeah, and they announced the creation of DC Studios. James Gunn and Peter Safran were taking over. Walter Hamada was out.
Yeah. Black Adam, this was also like one of 2 movies, I guess, that like took like a decade plus to make.
Yeah, they announced him being attached to that character in like 2014 or something like that. That was a long gestation.
I like Black Adam. I want to say though, like, I don't think any of these like DC movies have been like truly great, except for like Suicide Squad and unpopular opinion, but Man of Steel. But
I think the first Wonder Woman was pretty good.
yeah, and Wonder Woman.
Yeah, and after that was just the year of the bombs.
Yes.
Shazam 2, I like it. It bombed. The Flash, a lot of people got mad about one scene in the movie, and it bombed. But man, there was a lot of drama just surrounding that movie in general.
Yes. Ezra Miller being,
Ezra's
in and out of like court.
Yeah,
and
Ezra's Reign of Terror on. Where was his Reign of Terror?
it was in like Hawaii.
Yeah, it was in Hawaii.
Yeah.
What's? I just kept seeing headlines. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? What the hell is Ezra Miller even doing in Hawaii?
I mean,
go film a movie.
I think it started in Iceland. Like,
oh my god, yeah,
during the
strangling
pandemic.
incident. Then Ezra almost got away with that one.
Yeah, then
Everyone was too distracted by other things.
then he like kept getting arrested in Hawaii for like 2 months or something, and then like it
Madness.
ended up like going into like, I don't know, like Vermont or New Hampshire for a bit because he robbed somebody.
I don't know, man.
Yeah.
Sometimes people spiral out. They spiral out big time. I wonder if that's one of the reasons why the Flash movie had so many damn filmmakers. Was it really creative differences, or did everyone just be like, I can't work with this motherfucker?
This guy sucks.
Fucking this motherfucker's a lunatic. Because, you know, at first, in this incarnation, there was like previous attempts before, like David Goyer wrote a script in like the mid 2000s. I think there was a draft around the time of Green Lantern, but for the DC Extended Universe, first they got Lord and Miller. I remember seeing that. I'm like, that's awesome. That's great. They're spearheading the script. They're writing like the treatment. They might even direct. Then they ran off to do Star Wars movie that they got fired from.
Yep.
And then they brought in someone named Seth Grahame-Smith. Then they brought in Rick Famuyiwa. I can't pronounce that guy's last name.
Yep.
He's directed a lot of episodes of The Mandalorian. Seems to do cool stuff.
Okay.
He cast what's her name? Kirstie Clemons as Iris West. That movie getting this close to happening. There was like a character breakdown, alleged character breakdown that sounded, honestly, in my opinion, a little too similar to what we saw in the Flash TV show.
Okay.
And then Ezra teamed up with Grant Morrison to write a script. There was like another team. And then they finally got Andy Muschietti on board, and he was just like, I got this. Hear me out. Michael Keaton.
I'm Batman.
But it's a Flash movie. No. Batman. We put Batman in it. It got me excited.
It didn't get enough people excited, though.
No. But, you know, amongst the ever-changing plans, when you have a shared universe and you realize that the guy that plays the Batman in your universe doesn't want to be Batman anymore, maybe you convince him to come back for 2 days so you can write him out and replace him with Michael Keaton, who's older Batman, because you got a younger Batman over here being played by Robert Pattinson, because everyone was kind of grabbing sections of the DC universe that they could play with. You got Matt Reeves over here with his Batman toys. James Gunn was kind of playing with some Suicide Squad toys over here. J.J. Abrams was just like grabbing Justice League Dark characters and be like, I'm going to play with these eventually, guys. I swear. And it's going to be amazing. You're all going to love it. I'm not going to tell you a thing about it.
Yep. Well, we never got to see any J.J. Abrams stuff, and that's probably for the best.
He's taking Warner Brothers to the cleaners. How much money is that they pay that guy and get nothing in return?
I mean, who wouldn't want to, hire the guy that arguably ruined Star Wars and Star Trek for some people?
He revived both of those franchises and then crashed them.
Yeah.
Impressive.
It's impressive.
They hinged so much on that Flash movie. It was supposed to reset the universe, start the new continuity. Keaton was Batman. He filmed a scene for Aquaman 2. He filmed a Batgirl movie. All that stuff is just gone.
Yeah, I don't know if I can ever really like that Flash movie that much. I mean, sometimes, real world stuff gets involved. It's just like, the stuff with like Ezra Miller is like kind of off-putting. It's like I wasn't really a fan of that version of the character to begin with. It's like the TV guy was like way better, even though the TV show kind of like was for me only really great for like the first 2 seasons, and then after that I was just like, I think I'm done.
Fair is fair. He was never bad in it.
Yeah.
Even though the show got bad, he was fine.
Yeah.
You know what? I'll just say this: Grant Gustin, as far as I know, committed no crimes.
Yeah. And, all the crossovers, you definitely watched the crossovers even if you weren't watching the show.
Yeah.
At least I did. And all of those were, like, fun and enjoyable. And it's
yeah.
It's like, man, I wish show could be like this most of the time, but instead of, had TV show problems. But
yeah, it's the life of television.
It took the entire run of the Flash TV show from the Flash movie to come out.
I mean, for crying out loud, Ezra Miller was cast, at least was announced as playing the Flash a week after the Flash TV show premiered. Like, a week to 8 days later.
It's
and
insane.
Then the movie came out, like, barely a month after the show ended. The show ended May 24th. June 16th is when the movie came out. It's insane. Because of all, like, the delays, because of COVID and so many other things, there was probably a world where the Flash movie could have came out, bombed, and then the Flash show would have ran for another 3 months and then ended.
Yeah.
Either way, it's bizarre that those two ended their Flash tenure at the same time.
And, you know, let's face it, these last, like, couple of DC movies, it was, like, pretty much announced, but, like, weirdly announced that, like, yeah, we're doing, like, we have a new plan. And it's like, okay, are you starting from scratch? Well, you know,
We might keep a couple
sort of.
people. You know, we're keeping Amanda Waller and, like, Peacemaker and...
Vague things and
I don't know. I don't know how much of that affected the box office because the general audience doesn't care.
yeah,
And ultimately, when you look at the box office, they just didn't care.
they did not.
Nope.
Not even Michael Keaton Batman could get them back. And, you know, this movie ends on a joke with, like, George Clooney Batman showing up at the very end.
Because at that point, this is over. This is done. That was the sign, like, oh yeah, they're done. They're not going back to this.
Yeah.
Because they ended it like that.
Yeah.
If there was the intent of keeping any of this, Ezra, Flash, or anything like that, that scene wouldn't have been there. There wouldn't have been a Batman pulling up and being like, hey, Barry, what's up? It's me, the new Batman. No, so you ended on a joke.
Yeah.
So the joke's on you, Ezra Miller Flash. As in the old Arrowverse memes, damn it, Barry, you broke time, and now you're stuck in the Joel Schumacher Batman universe.
Seriously.
Good job.
And then after that, we got Blue Beetle, which is a pretty good movie, but it never stood a chance because writer's strike and just
Nobody cares.
nobody cares.
Yeah.
It's like, I liked the movie. It was fun. It was cool. Like, it was better than I thought it would be. And it's kind of a shame. It was just like, this is good. If it came out at a different time, maybe it might have been a moderate success.
I don't even know at this point.
And then we got the final movie, which I do need to see again, but, like, I kind of loved for, like, really dumb reasons. Like, Aquaman 2, The Lost Kingdom is, like, fun, cool. We get, like, a real supervillain in the movie with henchmen. I mean, there has not been any other supervillains with henchmen in so long. He's got a weird, funky submarine that he's in. He's got, like, everybody's got matching uniforms. It's great. It's like, I want to see more of that type of stuff. But that movie also didn't stand a chance, and it sucks, because it's just like, I like Jason Momoa as Aquaman.
No, fair is fair. I don't know how it's going to do in the long run, but it is doing better than all the other ones.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because it's fun. Black Manta is an awesome villain.
I love how, like, just petty he is at points when he starts just, like, chastising Aquaman for marrying his brother's fiance.
Yeah.
It's like, you stole your brother's kingdom and his girl? Damn, man, that's cold.
It's great. But I guess, you know, the DCEU's, like, dead now.
Yeah.
And
So many announced or quasi-announced projects that will never, ever see the light of day.
yeah.
Like, the big one, of course, is Batgirl. The movie that was actually shot. At least one rough cut exists.
Yeah.
Michael Keaton was in it. Freaking Brendan Fraser, Firefly, and it's just gone. It's locked away, possibly destroyed. We don't know. Will we ever know? Will it ever leak?
You know, we
How
were,
bad could it have been?
who knows? I mean, before the new management, we were kind of like teased like a Black Adam versus Superman movie. Henry Cavill was back, and then it's just like, no, that's not happening. And I would have really liked to see a Black Adam versus Superman movie.
I call me old-fashioned, but I wanted to see him fight Shazam.
Yeah, that is, you know, another problem with the DCEU. We're just like, wait, Black Adam and Shazam have two movies, yet they're not connected at all.
They're tangentially connected because we see the Wizard Shazam in both of them.
That's true.
That's the only thing that connects them. It's hilarious to me because you have Amanda Waller talking to Black Adam, and Black Adam being like, there's no one on this planet that could fight me. And she's like, motherfucker, there's like 6 other people with your exact powers. I could send them after your ass. Yeah, they're dumb kids, and he'd wipe the floor with them, but still.
They're impressionable youths.
There's 6 of them.
Yeah,
There's a whole bunch of them. There's a whole Shazammer family.
that's true. And the goddamn wizard is there too.
Yeah.
I don't get why the wizard can't just take away his powers, but
He's got the staff. He probably could.
yeah.
He actually could, I think.
It's, there's a lot about Black Adam that doesn't work, but I still liked it. And I like Skateboard Kid. I don't care what the internet said. He was fun.
You're like, damn it, I grew up in the 90s. All my movies were like that.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with a cool kid hanging around with a superhero that has a skateboard, damn it. People gotta lighten up. God damn it. Taking this silly shit so seriously. But a lot of weird decisions for the DCEU. But I guess now we got the DCFU? Or
It's just the DCU.
DCU.
That's not weird and confusing.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so in 2023, the DC TV universe, the Arrowverse, is gone. The extended universe from the movies is gone. And we start fresh, I guess, next year.
With Superman Legacy, which is like, okay, great. I'd love to see a new Superman movie. And then it's like, why are all these not Superman characters in this movie? What is this movie?
Why the hell is Guy Gardner in this?
Yeah. It's not even like, my problem is not even like, the movie has too many characters. It's just like, why aren't they Superman characters?
You're just waiting for them to announce the casting of Bibbo.
You know what? I'm not going to lie. If they're like Bibbos in the movie, I'm like, you know what? This movie will probably be great then. But until that happens, I'm just like, who are all these other weird people in this movie?
A member of the Authority is
Did they even announce Perry White in the movie?
No, but they cast Jimmy Olsen.
Okay. But
And he looks like a dweeb.
good. Because he's supposed to be a dweeb. The Supergirl version was too cool.
I mean, when he was cast and I see the picture of him, I just see this 6-foot-tall black guy in a leather jacket, and I'm like, that guy looks really cool. How the hell am I supposed to buy him as a nerd?
Yeah, it's like Jimmy Olsen is supposed to be Urkel, not Stefan.
Maybe not Urkel. That's a little too far. But yeah, you're right in that regard.
Yeah.
Like Lois and Clark, the first Jimmy Olsen, they were like, yeah, this guy's too cool. Let's get a dweeb. They got a dweeb.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, Jimmy Olsen's not supposed to be cool.
No.
He also should be taller than your version of Superman, which was weird.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he's taller. That guy's taller than Tyler Eklund.
Wow.
Yeah, when they show him on Supergirl, I'm like, oh, whoa, okay, that's weird. That
like-
feels strange.
It's like that cool guy, and then they're like, listen, we gotta nerd you up. Put on this sweater vest and bow tie.
I mean,
It's like, damn, you're still so sexy.
I just never bought that guy was ever a nerd. I just
Yeah.
couldn't buy it. Like even like if as the notion, like no, he's all grown up, and I'm like, yeah, but was he? There's nothing about this guy that says I'm a nerd. He's just a guy. He's just a love interest on a CW show. Damn it.
CW shows. Everybody's got to be so beautiful. But yeah, and we got this new universe, and of course we get a new slate of all the movies they want us to go and watch. And
Assuming and here's the thing. I can't help but think this, but Zack Snyder had plans. Jeff Johns and John Byrne had plans. Walter Hamada had plans. James Gunn's got plans. We'll see if he gets us any further than they did. Because none of them got very far.
I will say James Gunn's plans seem like interesting, but like also like why? There's a lot of like stuff where I'm like, okay, Superman movie, great. Batman movie, well, we got like a Batman movie going on over there, but okay, fine. Like
In this one, he's a dad.
yeah, okay. And then like it's just like instead of Wonder Woman, Amazon series.
Prequel series.
Okay. And I'm like, okay. And then Creature Commando, I'm like, why? And then The Authority, and I'm like, are you serious? Really? You're gonna do that? Okay.
Swamp Thing.
They tried Swamp Thing before.
A couple times.
Yeah.
He's got 2 movies and 2 TV shows.
I guess Swamp Thing is not as much as like, the rest as a lot of that other stuff is.
He's got some history.
Yeah.
That name is out there. And they're trying Booster Gold for television. We'll see how that goes.
They've been trying Booster Gold forever.
They tried to use Booster Gold to save Legends of Tomorrow. It didn't work.
They literally told like the Arrow show you can't use Blue Beetle because we have plans. And then we got the Blue Beetle movie in 2023, and it was just like, was this your plans, WB? Is this why they couldn't use Blue Beetle?
The history of how this continuity kind of screwed around with the TV stuff for years always drove me crazy. They killed off all their Suicide Squad characters, in large part because of the Suicide Squad movie. I'm amazed that we even got Flash. Like, I saw a clip recently, it was pointed out on Twitter, where Stephen Amell revealed that it's a clip from 2013 that Christopher Nolan had to approve of them using the Flash, which is crazy.
That is crazy.
And they were allowed to use Deathstroke, then suddenly couldn't use Deathstroke, then suddenly could again, then suddenly couldn't, and then Titans got to use Deathstroke because they aborted their movie plans.
It's so weird.
I was shocked that they let Supergirl even use Superman. I always thought that their weird, twisted logic that they would use sometimes is like, well, Superman died, so you can use him on TV now. It's like, cool. Can we use him again? Oh, no, Superman's coming back. He's coming back to life in the movie, so you can't use him on TV anymore. Oh, no, we ruined it. Do whatever you want with Superman. Okay, fine. We'll make a better Superman with blackjack and steel.
Yeah.
And we'll make a better Doomsday than you.
It's very weird. I don't know if DC will be able to get their act together for live action.
Having some actual structure and like an actual like studio as opposed to like a subdivision with 95 different people being able to stick their head in and be like, no. Having just two guys who can be like, this is what we're doing, is better than what they had before, which was just anybody doing whatever they wanted at any given point until somebody said, no.
Yeah.
And even then, they didn't do it enough or they did it too much.
Well, we'll see what happens.
It's hard to describe my feelings on this.
Yeah. I don't hate the DCEU. There's only a few movies I've, rewatched quite a bit, but there's a lot of weird decisions that are like, I've seen this done better.
Yeah.
Like as a child.
It's
like
between the cartoons, knocking it out of the park almost consistently when we were kids. Always wondering, like, I don't understand. The framework was there. It's been done better. I don't understand why you faltered. It's crazy. Like, it's the weird choices. Like, the audacity of making your first Flash movie essentially a version of Flashpoint. It's like, why would you do that? Nobody remembers this character. Nobody saw the theatrical version of Justice League. You don't know how many people actually saw the Snyder Cut. They're not showing those numbers. They shoved Ezra Miller Flash to Crisis on Infinite Earths, presumably to remind people he existed.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a neat moment. It was kind of cool to see. But, yeah, I don't know.
Just, to reiterate right off the bat, kind of ruining both Superman's main villain and Batman's main villain just right away.
Yeah.
It's like, oh yeah, this is Lex Luthor and this is Joker. Do you love it?
No. We've gotten better versions of them since.
Yeah. Well, I guess, with that being said, the DCEU is done.
It's over.
Forever.
We've had 10 years of DC movies, 10 years of DC shows, too. 10 plus, more than 10 years of DC shows.
I mean, they got to make a lot of stuff that, probably wouldn't have been made. Like Aquaman and Wonder Woman.
Shazam.
And, yeah, Shazam. Flash finally got his movie. Black Adam got a movie. Why did Black Adam get a movie? But he got one. Suicide Squad has 2 movies.
Somehow.
Like, that's crazy.
Peacemaker got a television show.
Yeah.
How insane is that? A character nobody knows and nobody cared about is on a show that really should have had a second season by now. Come on.
Yep.
Like, what are we doing? Honestly, I feel like some of the reasons why some of these movies bombed is it's no fault of their own because there was COVID and stuff like that that caused a lot of delays. You only have like a certain amount of time to get your sequel out there before people stop giving a shit. It took like what 5 years to get to Aquaman 2?
Yeah.
5 years, 4 to 5 years to get Shazam 2? That's too long. I mean, look what happened with Captain Marvel.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it's not a, if the character is showing up in a lot of other stuff like Doctor Strange, your sequel can still come out and do well, but nobody remembers who the hell you are because you came out between 2 of the biggest movies of all time and you showed up in one of them for 5 minutes. People are going to forget because people don't care. People move on. They move on to other stuff like Barbie and Oppenheimer for some reason.
Yep. Which are both really good.
So I've heard. I'll watch one of them, Oppenheimer.
I've seen parts of both, but have not seen them all the way through.
That seems about right.
Yeah. But I guess rest in peace, DCEU.
You were, I mean, to quote their terrible version of Lex Luthor, you flew too close to the sun.
Why did you say that name?